podcasting is healing. The therapeutic power of podcasting. Whether or not you believe it or not, discussing mental health topics or sharing personal stories of resilience, your podcast can be a source of comfort and healing for our listeners. Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. We're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life who want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. Hey everybody, how is it going? This is Junaid, and today on this episode, welcome back to Hacks and Hobbies. And today I want to talk about diving into something that is extremely close to my heart. It's the philosophy of podcasting. Now, what is the philosophy of podcasting? And podcasting isn't just about hitting the record button and speaking, although that's something that you need to do to get started. But it's about speaking. It's much more than all of that. It's a medium that can wear many hats. I want to talk to you about a few stories as I talk about these philosophies of podcasting in this episode. So number one, podcasting is opportunity. Now, this philosophy underscores the myriad of opportunities that podcasting brings to the table. Whether you're a host, a guest, a listener, podcasting opens up doors to new ideas, networking, and even financial avenues. It's a platform where anybody with insight or expertise can build a following, share their story, or generate income. Why do I say it's an opportunity? Well, for me, I'll be teaching high school intro to business next week. And this opportunity was only possible because I shared that I'm a podcaster to a very cool guy. And he's like, oh my God, what do you talk about in podcasting? And I mentioned I talk to entrepreneurs on how they take their passion to profit. And he was blown away. He's like, would you mind coming and teaching introduction to business to the class here? I was like, absolutely. It would be so much fun. Podcasting is listening. The essence of podcasting lies in the art of active listening. As a host, I've listened to hundreds of podcasters, hundreds of guests, hundreds of entrepreneurs. You listen to your guest, and you also listen to your audience needs because the audience is asking questions. And the feedback, and making that podcast a two-way communication channel. It becomes listening in ways that you probably never thought it would be. You might feel that podcasting is one-way communication, but it's not, because people on the other end are listening, and you're then listening to their requests, to their needs. It's so powerful. Whenever I get to guest on other podcasts and I see the audience reactions, it feels good. I get to connect with them on another level. I'm missing numbers, but number 3, podcasting is healing. The therapeutic power of podcasting. Whether or not you believe it or not, discussing mental health topics or sharing personal stories of resilience, your podcast can be a source of comfort and healing for our listeners. I've had the honor to be a guest on the podcast called Happy Brain. And we talked about how podcasting is healing, and how, as somebody who takes really good care of their mental health, it is important to heal. It is important to show that we are all human. We are all going through places of abundance. We're all going through places of recovery. And it's something that's really near and dear to me. Next up, podcasting is exploring. This view focuses on the investigative nature of podcasting. And you've probably heard of some podcasts that focus on investigation. For example, some of the really popular ones. Apparently, I can't name them right now. But the investigative nature of podcasting, with each episode, you and your audience exploring new ideas, cultures, mysteries, turning each podcast episode into a journey of discovery. You're constantly exploring ideas. You're constantly exploring cultures. Like the guests that have been on my podcast, they come from all walks of life. And they've all overcome something that I'm going to talk about in the next topic. Podcasting is challenging. Yes. Is it challenging? It's a medium that pushes boundaries. It questions norms and challenges both creator and the listener to think critically and consider the alternative viewpoints. I've talked to people from all walks of life, and they bring different viewpoints. They bring different thought processes. They bring into the world their views, and I get to explore them. I get to view those challenging points from firsthand. But from the other point of view, podcasting is challenging because it is not easy to produce a podcast. It takes a lot of time, a lot of efforts. In fact, I spent probably 3+ hours in editing my first few podcasts. And I was like, wow, this is tough. This is hard. How can I make this easier for me? And how do we make things easier for ourselves? The more we spend time in something, the more innovative we become. So podcasting is innovating. It's a playground for creativity, for innovation. And it's not just about what you say and how you say it. You're bringing in fresh formats, the soundscapes, and concepts into the medium of podcasting. Yesterday, I watched my good friend do a Zwift cycling session here on Facebook Live, and I was like, wow, that is dedication. That is fascination. And he's celebrating his 52-year birthday, and he's like, I'm going to ride 52 miles right here. And it was just so fun to see because he innovated and brought these things together. Having that experience, he was able to bring that into the view and bring that experience to the people. And it became entertaining. And so the next point, podcasting is entertaining. At its core, podcasting is offering entertainment. Whether through storytelling, humor, or engaging interviews, your podcast provides a welcome escape from the daily grind to your listeners. In fact, I spent at least 3 days listening to the same episode because it was so long. It was Tim Ferriss speaking with a really amazing human being. I'm not good with names, but Joseph Gordon Levitt, who launched something called Go Record or hitrecord.com, because people struggle on hitting record. So I've been hitting record here in the studio and sharing my thoughts with you on the stream. You got to hit record. It becomes entertaining. And as you hit record, guess what you're doing? You're curating. So podcasting is curating. And in this view, podcasting is about carefully selecting and presenting the best content for your audience. And I figured I want to bring the best content to you guys. I want to bring the best thoughts, best takeaways that I've experienced from the guests that I've had on my podcast. It becomes like you're a museum curator. You're like, what's that guy's name? Harrison Ford. Who does Harrison Ford play? Indiana Jones. You become a curator, right? You're presenting the most relevant, the most interesting, high quality topics and guests. And you're curating that information. You're bringing those things together. And guess what all of those stories and curation does. It creates something inside of you that's defined with one single word: transforming. Podcasting is transformative. It's transforming. It focuses on the transformative power of podcasting. Because these episodes aren't just standalone. They're part of a broader journey that can significantly impact your audience's mindset or life. And just like that, I've gone from being a podcaster, sitting in my car recording these episodes on my phone, to transforming who I am. Sure, I'm bringing these audiences, I'm bringing these guests to the podcast that have gone through these transformations. They've gone from zero to hero. They show that condensed format of what they were able to do. But if you look at the broader arc, the full journey of Tony Stark from the first movie to the 22nd movie, you see that entire arc as is building. That transformative power you've seen in me as I've gone through this journey of podcasting in the past 5 years. Why do I keep coming back to podcasting? Because this is power. This is transformation. And what this does, it's also uniting. Oh my God, I cannot believe that this is one of the terms I get to talk about. Podcasting is uniting. And over the past 5 years, I've met so many creators. I've met so many podcasters. I've met so many entrepreneurs, and they have only one message to give: work together, unite, right? United forces. The more people you work with, the more power you're able to bring forth to the movement of podcasting. When you're working in a company, you're working in a company of people, all working together to make this entire engine move forward. Podcasting serves as a force for bringing people together. Oh my God, you have no idea how powerful it is when you go to Podcast Movement, Podfest, a Podcast Movement Evolution, like all of these different events, social media marketing world. I'm like naming all these events I went to. And when they see that you're a podcaster, they're like, I have a podcast too. And you start talking about things that resonate with you. It's so powerful. It's so amazing. I absolutely love it. I want to ask people listening and watching, where are you watching from? Right? Drop in the city and state that you're listening to this podcast episode from when you get a chance. But I'm going to continue rolling and talking about what podcasting is for me. Podcasting is uniting. It serves as a force for bringing people together and has, regardless of geographical or cultural boundaries. A podcast unites listeners under common interests, beliefs, or goals. Right? You're listening to a podcast because you believe in something near and dear to you. I joined a community very passionate about that I am, unconventional leaders. It helped me get out of my shell from being afraid, from asking for permission. I already have the permission. We all have permission. We are on this earth. We have that permission to do what we are powerful about. And to the next effort, the next topic, podcasting is reflecting. For hosts, podcasting is a way to articulate thoughts, leading to greater self-awareness. I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes that will reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities. And for listeners, it acts as a mirror, helping them reflect on their own lives through the shared stories and discussions. This makes it a cool tool for personal and communal reflection. You're reflecting when you, for example, when you watch, any of the TV show and you're talking about that same episode with other people, you're reflecting on what happened. The same thing happens when you're listening to a podcast episode. And if somebody else, you'll share an episode with somebody else, like, oh my God, you got to listen to this episode. It talks about things that you didn't think of before. We get to reflect when we're podcasting. Podcasting is nurturing. I talked about this the other day. As a medium that fosters growth and development, not just for the listener, but also the creator. It becomes a sanctuary of knowledge, exploration, and comfort. And as you're nurturing the audience that want to know you, that want to work with you, that want to be like, oh my God, where has this messaging hiding all this time? Until you start putting that content out, until you start sharing that content on the streams, on your podcast, it's not going to be viewed by anybody. It's locked up inside of you. There's a book called Die Empty, and it talks about the richest places in the world are graveyards, because people in there didn't get to launch their ideas. They didn't get to answer the question, what if? Right? So you've got to get those ideas out and nurture the audience. And the more you do, podcasting becomes love, because podcasting is loving. Because as I create every single episode with every single guest that I speak with, I'm creating an act of love. I'm creating a space for my guests to share knowledge, right? So it becomes love, offering something valuable to your audience with care and intention, intentionally caring, intentionally providing value, intentionally bringing those things up. It's just amazing. And this love manifests as thoughtful episode planning, careful research, and a genuine desire to bring joy or wisdom to your listeners. In fact, I'll be speaking in the next few minutes to a new guest that I ran into, and his name is amazing. He's James Bond. So I can't wait to talk with him later on today and share his journey on the podcast. All right, a few more to go. Podcasting is growing. We talked about transformation, and it's focused on the dynamic and evolving nature of podcasting. When I started my podcast, it was all documenting my beekeeping journey. But then I grew, I evolved, I pivoted from just talking to myself and talking about beekeeping. Like, let me start bringing people on the podcast and talk about what their journey looks like. And as a podcast host, you're continually learning, adapting, expanding your skill set, and your audience grows with you through every discovery and challenge. Podcasting is caring, right? It's just that you are not only sharing information, but also demonstrating care for your audience by providing high quality content that caters to their needs and concerns. Every single episode that I have with a guest is because I want to learn from them. And I care that I'm documenting that journey, that conversation, so that others can learn from it as well. Podcasting is connecting. It is funny, but it is absolutely connecting, because I am now connecting with even more people than I ever imagined in my life. is a powerful networking tool that brings people closer, whether they're across the room, across the globe. It's about building a community and finding your tribe. And find your tribe you will with your podcast as you build it. We have amazing communities, the Pod Fam, the Pod Mov, like all these families and communities all circling around podcasting. Podcasting is inspiring. Wow. The motivational aspect of podcasting, your podcast could be the catalyst someone needs to take action, make a change, or even transform their lives. And that's my goal for every single episode, to be inspiring, to be caring, to be loving, to bring that power to others. And with that, podcasting is empowering. Podcasting serves as a platform that amplifies voices, including those that might otherwise go unheard. This is a tool for enabling your listeners to make informed decisions and feel supported. You're probably searching content online on the web about learning something specific. And if there's a podcast around it, guess what? They've already gone through those experiences. They've already gone through the things that you're trying to discover. Before I got into beekeeping, I watched for 6 months beekeeping videos. And the last video that I watched was the guy telling me he was a master beekeeper and taught beekeeping. He says, well, if you really want to get into beekeeping, well, you need to go find other beekeepers. Look for a local beekeeping group, and you'll find the people that can teach you what it takes to become a beekeeper. So just like that, surround yourself with other podcasters. Surround yourself with other podcasters if you want to podcast. Surround yourself with other cyclists if you want to get into cycling. Other beekeepers if you want to get into beekeeping. Other archers if you want to get into archery. Other people that are doing the things that you want to do. They're going to empower you and support you every single way. One of the strongest communities is the AAA, the Alcoholics Anonymous Association. They're surrounding themselves because they see, how do I keep away from this problem? Well, I need to find other people who are also trying to do the same thing. Human beings are community powered. We are community powered. So the more we come together on a single subject, single topic, better we are together. All right, couple more. Podcasting is teaching. This sees podcasting as an educational medium, a virtual classroom where listeners can gain new skill, insights, and perspectives. And just like that, I got into teaching Intro to Business starting in September of 2023. Podcasting is adventurous. For those who look at life as one big exploration, podcasting is a way to take your audience along for the ride. Literally, I've done that physically, recording episodes while I was on a bicycle. And I'm talking about how I'm feeling. I'm talking about what it feels to ride on a bicycle with other people. Whether you're diving into unknown topics or interviewing guests from diverse backgrounds, each episode is a brand new adventure. And that's what I see podcasting is as. Lastly, podcasting is celebrating. It's all about joy. Podcasting allows you to celebrate achievements, milestones, or just the simple pleasure of having a platform to speak your mind and connect with like-minded individuals. If you thought this was funny, if you thought this episode was fun and brought you some value, I'd love some feedback. Please reach out and let me know what you thought of the philosophies of podcasting. And if you gained value from this episode or any other, please share it with someone who would benefit, because that's how we can grow together and learn. Thank you again for tuning into Hacks and Hobbies. Remember, every episode is a new opportunity to remember. Every episode is a new opportunity to learn something new. So until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep learning. I have a question to ask you at the end. What is podcasting to you? All right, take care and have an awesome time. Thank you for listening to Hacks and Hobbies. You can find additional information on the guest today on their website, hacksandhobbies.com. Please feel free to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on upcoming interviews with amazing guests.